Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this year's City of Troy Memorial Day ceremony. I am Mayor Ethan Baker, and I will be the MC for today's event. Memorial Day is a federal holiday. Is the mic not on? Is this better? There we go. Now I have to start all over. Anyway, you all missed the good morning. I'm Mayor Ethan Baker, and welcome to our Memorial Day ceremony. So I'm excited to have all of you here today on this beautiful morning. This still doesn't feel loud enough. Hey, Cindy, I'm going to move it. Oh, he's coming. There we go. He's probably scared. Is that all right? All right, very good. Well, as you know, Memorial Day is a federal holiday for remembering the people who have died while serving our country in our armed services. I think it is fitting to acknowledge what a tough year it has been for all of us. Past 2 years, actually, with the COVID-19 pandemic, civil unrest, and political discord. It's all tested our resolve. But your being here today reminds us that this is America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. We must always put the flag of our country and the welfare of our nation ahead of any discourse, and always remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. This time, I'd like you to please rise for the posting of the colors and remain standing for our national anthem and Pledge of Allegiance. indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. All.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Now it's my honor to please call forward our Troy Police Department Chaplain, Dr. and Pastor Bob Cornwall.
Would you join me in prayer? God of peace, on Memorial Day, we gather to remember the women and men who gave their lives in service to their country. We ask that you would remind us that the ones we honor today once lived with the same hopes and dreams that each of us have nurtured. And yet were cut short in death. Whether or not our own lives have been personally affected by these deaths, we know that such memories can be painful. And so we offer prayers today in gratitude for these lives given in service to our country. Not only do we remember those who have died, but we also remember those family members, loved ones, and friends who bring with them both the grief of their loss, but also the joyful memories of their relationships. We ask that they may know your compassion and healing grace so that they might find comfort in their own moment of remembrance. We lift up those families who have yet to find closure as their loved ones are numbered among the missing in action. We pray they too may find comfort in your presence. While we remember those who died, we also remember those who returned home injured and disabled, those who experienced mental distress and moral woundedness as a result of their service. We pray for their continued healing. And on this Memorial Day, we must also remember the lives lost in recent weeks due to gun violence. It seems as if there is no end to the violence and therefore the grief of family and friends and community. From the 10 people killed at the grocery store in Buffalo to the 19 elementary school students and 2 teachers killed in Uvalde. We remember their lives and ask that we as a people might find the wherewithal to put an end to such horrific violence. May it be that we no longer need to remember lives lost in this way. As we come to lay wreaths in honor of those who died in service to the country, may we salute the bravery and commitment of all who have answered the call to serving country, knowing that they might not return home alive. So we ask that you would grant them courage. And those of us who gathered here today as a community represent different faiths, ideologies, and ethnicities. May the example set by those we remember today inspire us to pursue the cause of peace and justice in this world. And may we commit ourselves to building bridges of understanding here in our community that can give witness to what can be true for the world, so that we would no longer face the need to send our loved ones into harm's way. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. We can always count on you to come to these special events and be there for us. This time I'd like to introduce some of our dignitaries here with us today. Please stand when I call your name and remain standing until everyone has been introduced, and everyone else, please hold your applause until the very end. From our Troy City Council today, we have Councilmember Teresa Brooks, Councilmember Rebecca Chamberlain-Krianga, and Councilmember David Hamilton. We have our City Attorney, Lori Bloom. Of course, our Community Affairs Director, Cindy Stewart. We have County Commissioner Tom Kuhn here with us today. Of course, our State Representative, Padma Kupa. Former City Manager, Frank Gerstenecker is here. Our former Mayor, Gene Stein, is here, of course. District 52-4 Judge, Kirsten Nielsen-Hardig is here. I think that's everybody. Please give them a warm round of applause. This time I'd also like to take a moment to pause for a moment of silence in remembrance of our unaccounted for POW and MIAs. It is now my pleasure to introduce today's keynote speaker, Chief Master Sergeant David L. Bowers, Jr. Chief Master Sergeant Bowers is the superintendent for the 191st Aircraft Maintenance Squadron at Selfridge Air National Guard Base. His responsibilities include planning overall allocation of personnel, funding, and equipment resources. He coordinates the work direction, administration, regulatory safety measures, training, equipping, and readiness for the squadron. Chief Master Sergeant Bowers entered the Michigan Air National Guard in February of 2000. He is deployed in support of Operations Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, and most recently as the Aircraft Maintenance Unit Superintendent in the AOR's most active installation, contributing to Operation Freedom Sentinel. He also served as COVID-19 response support during Project Code X10. His diversity in the maintenance career field includes working in inspection section, flight line operations, and production section. Before assuming his current position, Chief Master Sergeant Bowers served as the Installation Traffic Manager for the 127th Logistics Readiness Squadron. In that role, he was responsible for providing technical expertise and support relating to the movement of equipment, supplies, and personnel, now we can hear me, for both peacetime and wartime. He directed, developed, planned, and analyzed deployment and distribution management programs. He managed all material distribution activities, including organic ground transportation for cargo and personnel. Chief Master Sergeant Bowers also served as the 127th Wing Inspector General Superintendent. His duties included self-assessment program management, exercise and inspection development, wing inspection team oversight, and major graded area lead inspector. Chief Master Sergeant Bowers' military awards and decorations include the following: Air Force Achievement Medal, Meritorious Unit Award, Air Force Outstanding Unit Award, USAF NCO PME Graduate Ribbon, Michigan State War on Terrorism Award, Michigan Broadsword Service Medal, and the Michigan Oculus Ribbon. So without further ado, please let's extend a warm welcome to Chief Master Sergeant David Bowers, Jr.
Good morning. And thank you so much for joining us here to honor our nation's heroes. And also thank you to Mayor Baker, City Council members, and the City of Troy for enabling us to come together for this event. Memorial Day offers a meaningful opportunity for us to remember and express gratitude for the men and women who have died in service to our nation. More than 1,275,000 Americans have died in war and conflict since the Revolutionary War began in 1775. Service members have been fighting for and maintaining our nation's independence, freedom, and security for nearly 250 years. This year, for the first time since 2019, Americans throughout our country will gather again for parades and ceremonies to observe Memorial Day. Family members, friends, and other loved ones will visit the graves of the fallen, thoughtfully displaying wreaths and flowers in remembrance of those who gave their lives in the name of freedom. We will shed tears and enjoy fond memories of those who have gone on before us. But today we honor their dedication, courage, and sacrifice. But why must there be sacrifice? Why is this a consequence inflicted upon those who serve and those who love them? The answer is simple but harsh. Liberty is not freely gained or preserved. It must be continually safeguarded. I'd like to share the words of the late General Colin Powell, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, National Security Advisor, and Secretary of State. Of service members who die in battle, General Powell is quoted saying, "Their sacrifices in the name of peace and freedom have made this nation what it is today. By their sacrifice, they give us our strength and our vibrancy. We, the living, must ensure that their sacrifice was not made in vain." Soldiers and airmen in the National Guard know this sacrifice. Not only do we train to fight and win our nation's wars, but we are called upon when disasters strike the homeland, willingly putting ourselves in harm's way to keep members of our communities safe and secure. National Guard members serve our country alongside our active duty brothers and sisters in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Space Force, and Coast Guard. Citizen soldiers have served in militias and fought in America's wars since the 1500s in Spanish Florida, and we were formalized with the name National Guard in 1824. My father, Chief Master Sergeant David Bowers Sr. served in the Michigan National Guard for over 20 years and was a veteran of the Gulf War. Our careers overlapped for 3 years before he retired, and I had a chance to go on a temporary duty move with him to the Alpena Combat Readiness Training Center. It was there that I had a chance to see him not only as my father, but as Chief Bowers and also as Dave. It's a memory I hold very dearly. And today, I ask you to share with each other, and especially the younger generations, memories just like that, so that those memories and their legacies live on. Also, we remember and honor these brave women who have paid the ultimate sacrifice to our country. We must also remember those who have served and continue to live with physical, mental, and spiritual challenge in the aftermath of these wars. General Powell said that we must never forget the enormous adjustment our men and women make when they return home from war. He continued by encouraging all of us to support veterans, listen to their stories, hire them, volunteer to help veterans organizations, and find creative ways to honor them. So on this Memorial Day, never forget. Think about the price that has been paid for our liberty. Those who have returned from war, those who have died, and the loved ones who sacrificed daily without them. And then freely enjoy your day with gratitude, because those who fought for us, who fought for our lives, our liberty, and our pursuit of happiness would be honored. We celebrate all these things for which their sacrifice left us. We thank God that our country is blessed, and we thank those men and women for our freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Master Sergeant Bowers. And I just want to say, while your family's up, you have a beautiful family here with us today. That's a special treat for all of us. So say hello to his beautiful family as well. So they look like movie stars today. They're all perfectly in. At this time, the Troy Heritage Band, who I'm always happy to have back here in Veterans Plaza, will now play each military service song. I would ask you to stand when your service's song is played. today. We thank you so much for your service, and we're honored to have you here. At this time, I would like to call up longtime Troy resident and retired Troy Police Sergeant Mike Kerr. Mike served as an infantry company commander in Vietnam and will deliver a tribute to his fallen comrades. Come on up, Mike.
Good morning, and thank you all for coming today. I'd like to introduce you to three young men in my platoon that were killed on November 11th, 1968. 1968 and 69, if you know anything about the Vietnam War, were the 2 years that the United States services took the most casualties. First man I'd like to introduce you to is John Bratton from West Lafayette, Louisiana. We called him Preacher because he carried a Bible everywhere. And those of you that have been in combat know that you don't know whether it's Monday, Wednesday, you don't know. All you know is when your birthday is, when your wife's birthday is, and when you're going to go home. But every Sunday, whether we were out in the boondocks or whatever, Preacher would come up to me and say, "Lieutenant, can I have a couple of minutes?" And he would have a prayer service for those that were there. Second fellow I'd like you to introduce you to was Gary Rust. We called him Rusty. He had 4 brothers and 4 sisters. He's from Stockbridge, Massachusetts, and he liked to play cards, but would never gamble. He had 4 brothers and sisters at home, sent every penny that he had home to them. Wanted to be a career soldier. But guys would give him their cigarettes. Everybody had cigarettes. They burn the leeches off, whatever. They would give him the cigarettes when they had a chance. We'd play cards and bartering cigarettes. So you gave him your 4-pack of cigarettes. He was so good, he'd give you 16 back. They loved him. The last fellow in my platoon that was killed on 11/11/68 was Jim Humphrey from Shawnee Mission, Kansas. We call him Hump. He had a college football scholarship to go to Kansas University, but decided to serve his country. Hump was built like a linebacker. When things got tough, he would carry other people's backpacks, water, whatever was necessary. We had to dig in at night, he'd dig his hole and then help the other fellas dig in to get underground before night fell. But this year I'd like to mention a couple other people that were significant in my tour and were killed in action in Vietnam that were members of my unit. I was married my high school sweetheart, quit college, got drafted because I only had to do 2 years. Got made the 4th Armored Rifle Team. Got sent down to Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and all I did all day was shot rifle. So I called my high school sweetheart. She went down there. We got married, and living in San Antonio was a beautiful thing. And then I got orders for Vietnam. She was pregnant. So I went to Vietnam. She was 4 months pregnant, and went over there, went to reception station. They told me I was going to go to the 4th Infantry Division. I wrote home, "Honey, take care of yourself. I don't know when I'm going to get back to you, but I'm going out there. Stay safe and take care of our baby." So I went out there, and I didn't write home. Why would I write home? We were getting casualties I went to LG Mile High. Probably heard about it. Probably read about it. Why in the heck would you write home and lie to your wife, Catholic girl? Lie to your mother, Catholic lady? I didn't write home. About 4 weeks later, helicopter came in. They dumped off the ammunition. They dumped off the food and water. The battalion chaplain got out. He ran to Captain Laird's bunker. All of a sudden, Douglas Ross, Captain Laird's radio telephone operator, came down and he says, "Lieutenant, the captain wants to see you." What? I've been out for 5 days looking for Charlie. I go up to Captain Laird, and he says, Lieutenant? I go, yes, sir. You have a wife at home? Yes, sir. He says, have you written a letter home yet? No, sir. Gives me a pad of paper, gives me some envelopes, gives me a pencil. He says, before the battalion chaplain leaves, you'll have a nice letter written home to your wife. Oh, honey, it surfs up. I got Speedos. It's beautiful out here. Free helicopter ride. Nah. Went back to him, Captain Laird. Had the stationery, the pencil. Gave him the letter. Tried to give him the stationery, the envelopes, the pencil back. And he said, Lieutenant, you keep that, because this is the last time we're going to have this discussion, because this is not all about you. I go, holy smokes. So I wrote home, well, he was killed January 23rd, 1968, and his radio telephone operator that brought me up to go get him, Douglas Allen Ross, was missing in action. He had a family. He was missing in action from January 23rd, 1969 until 1997. Well, think of his family. So I wouldn't go to our reunions because I just couldn't face them. So finally two of my guys come up and they go, Lieutenant, if you don't come to the reunion, we're taking you. And it was in Orlando, Florida. So I go, well, chance to see Florida. It was the end of July. You know what it gets like in the end of July in Florida, but the rates were great. So I take my wife, I go down there, go to where we're having the reunion. You had to sign in. Sign my name, they give you a name tag. Put your name in a name tag, and I'm walking down to register for things to do. And at the very end of the line there's a distinguished looking lady in her mid-60s, early 70s. Gray hair, it's the end of July. Gray hair done to the nines. Long summer dress right down to the ground. High heel shoes on. Right next to her is about a 35-year-old lady. Same thing. Hair done to the nines. Long dress all the way down to the floor. High heel shoes on. So I'm going down, and the older lady's looking at the name tags. I get down there, and she steps in front of me, and she says, Lieutenant Kerr. I go, yes, ma'am. She said, I'm Zema Laird. I'm Jerry Laird's widow. He wrote home about you, and I'd like to give you a hug. Give me a hug? She said, and this is his daughter, Lisa. She gave me a hug. Later that evening, a bunch of the guys got together. We were talking to Zema. And Lisa said, tell me a story about my father. These people that come to reunions don't want to know how they died. They want to know who they were, what their job was. So I told Lisa the story about him making me write home. And she started to cry. I said, oh, this is not what this is all. Zema, Mom said, stop. She said, Mike, when Jerry was in Vietnam, Lisa was 3. He would write home as often as he could. He'd write a letter home to me, and he would write a letter home to his 3-year-old daughter. And when Lisa turned 16, Zema was able to give her the letters that her father had written to her while he was in Vietnam. There are leaders of men, and you'll meet a few in your lifetime, but Jerry Proctor Laird was my mentor, and I learned an awfully lot from him before, during, and after death, because we mourn those that lost, not forget those that were lost, but understand they all had families. They had families while they were serving, and when he said this is not all about you, those that have passed, those that were killed in action, I'm sure would like you to remember their families. And it's just the right thing to do. So thank you for coming today. It pays tribute not only to those that have fallen, but recognize to their families that we have not forgotten and we will not forget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. We are so thankful for your service to our country and, of course, your service to our Troy Police Department and city here, and the service you still give to our community. Many people don't know Mike is the first one you need. If you need something in this city, call Mike. He'll get there, deliver you a meal. He'll do anything you need, and he's consistently done it for years, and we thank him for that. At this time, we will now conduct the laying of the wreath in honor of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Please rise and remain standing for the rifle salute and the playing of taps. I also invite, who just came up, Chief Master Sergeant Bowers to come up and walk with the honor guard as they lay the wreath. Please be seated. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming today to this important ceremony in remembrance of all those brave men and women who have died in service to this great country to ensure our freedom, remembering that freedom is never more than a generation away from extinction, and it's never free. Pastor Cornwall, please come up for our benediction.
I add my thanks to you that Mayor Baker gave for coming. I've had the opportunity to come and do this on many occasions. So I ask that you would join me in one last prayer as we prepare to depart for the remainder of the day, but keeping in memory all of those whom are on our hearts. And Mike Kerr always reminds us of who those people are. So join me in prayer. Go forth from this place with the spirit of hope. We ask that the lives we remember today will inspire us to pursue this peace in this world of ours. May we not take our freedoms for granted. Indeed, let us not take for granted the values of our democracy, that we would honor the contributions of all who dwell within its borders, no matter their ethnicity, religion, or gender. Having stopped to remember these persons who died in service to their country, may we honor their memory by committing ourselves to the cause of peace and the principle of loving our neighbors as we love ourselves. Amen.
The Troy Heritage Band will now play God Bless America. I urge you to please rise and stand and sing with me if you could.
Second ending or what? Excuse me, I thought for sure. Yeah, nice job.